So we're gonna give you guys a little bit of information on closing costs here. You got a lot of experience with it, Josh, so why don't you just dive right into the buyer's side and the seller's side?
Sounds good, yeah. So closing costs, sometimes there's a lot of fees. I feel like I sit down with the buyer at the start and they're like, man, I didn't really anticipate having that fee, this fee, that fee. They're like, really? They charge me for that too? So it's good to know, because you can say, okay, well, I'm just gonna buy a house and it's not just my down payment that I have to come up with up front. So there's all the other fees. So you're gonna have your purchase price, your down payment, obviously you're gonna have to come up with whatever that is with your lender. Then you're gonna have your legal fees, and the legal fees can kind of vary. There's different, I always recommend calling between 2 to 4 lawyers just to get different opinions on what they charge. Some charge like a 1% fee of the purchase price, some have a flat fee, some, there's different ways of doing it. So, and different pricing might work for you better based on your particular purchase price of that property. You're gonna have land transfer tax. Now, unless you're a first-time home buyer, and the government still does a first-time home buyer land transfer tax credit, and I believe it caps at $2,000.
Yeah, we have a link to that on our website as well, so you can kind of have a look at that.
Yeah, we have a calculator right on our website it's a multi-calculated system as to how they do it based on the loan amount.
And if you're in Toronto, you actually have another.
Yeah, if you're in Toronto, they actually double it, or there's another one.
I don't know if it's quite double, but there is another percentage.
Toronto tax, which we don't have here in the London area. So there's that fee that you're gonna have to.
And they were trying to bring that all over Ontario. They're trying to bring something like an extra tax in, but
not enough taxes. Yeah. So you're gonna have your land transfer tax, and again we have a calculation of that on our website, so keep that in mind. You're also gonna have to consider potentially a home inspection if you're gonna go with one. In our experience, when we hire a licensed home inspector that we trust, somewhere for a detached home you might be between $350 and $400 with HST, so that's something you have to prepare for. You're also gonna have to consider one thing that people don't realize is that when you buy a property that's a resale home, the seller may have already paid the property tax up for the entire year. So if you're going to close in August or September, for example, that means that, well, the city's not going to reimburse that seller for the property tax. You're going to have to reimburse them up front on closing. So always a good question to ask as you're going through the property, or you want to put an offer, hey, so have they paid their property tax up, or how do they do that? Because you don't want to get hit. I've seen people get hit with another $2,000. They would have had to pay it anyways, but they weren't necessarily prepared for that 3 to 4 months before that needed to be paid. Exactly right. So there's that perspective. Also, I mean, those are pretty much the main ones. Within your legal fees, again, if I can kind of give you a general idea as to what that's going to cost, you might be around $1,600, $1,800 with the lawyer's legal fee plus any disbursements. You have to register title, all those kind of things. And there may be one more fee involved with that as well. Just regarding CMHC, some people don't realize that that's a premium on a high ratio mortgage, and a high ratio mortgage would be anything, I believe, 20% loan to value and under. So if you're putting less
sliding scale though.
Sliding scale. Yep. So if you're putting less than 20% down, you have to pay a CMHC premium, which is essentially you're insuring your own mortgage with CMHC Insure. So those are the main costs that you want to consider. We do have a link to this. It's called the purchase price checklist. So if you guys need or want to have a look at this, we can send this to you guys so you can prepare for any and all costs that might be associated with you. Something else to consider as well is that if you're buying a brand new house, you may be on the hook for connection charges. So if you have to run new services, or you're getting Reliance for the first time out there, or Union Gas, they may charge you a one-time fee to get that set up.
Maybe an appraisal. There might be you likely have to pay for that. So
yeah, appraisals as well. Yeah. So if you're going to be putting 20% down and you're going to bypass CMHC, then 90% of the time you may be subject to an appraisal, which could be anywhere between $150 to $300, $350, depending on what.
Sometimes right in line with inspections. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes right in line with inspections, and most times that'd be on you, the purchaser, if you go with an independent mortgage broker. If for whatever reason the
B lenders as well. I mean, when I bought my my flip properties at B lender, I mean, I appraised every time.
Because you're not insuring that mortgage, so they want somebody else to throw an opinion of that value. And is there anything else about that?
Touched on a little bit of the closing costs for the buyer. Let's hear some of the things to keep in mind for the seller.
Yeah. For sellers, so it's a lot less involved to close the property when you're on the selling side of it. I mean, you're going to have the fee of whatever you've negotiated with your realtor. And you have to pay the selling side and whatever. If there was a cooperating broker, you also have to pay them as well. Mm-hmm. You're going to have you are also going to have legal fees, because you still have to have that lawyer close down your file for you and sign a deed over as well. And there may be a tax adjustment for you as well if you haven't paid your property taxes up to a certain date. Then they would require you to do so as well. But for the most part, it's going to be, I would say your legal closing fees are going to be under $1,000, and then whatever you're going to have to pay for your real estate fees plus HST for the most part.
Make a couple of the adjustments, and then again, we will have a link to this information on our website, and feel free to reach out to us for any more information.